everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my Switch collection. Today we're going to be talking a lot about all the indie titles I have. I got most of my AAA games out of the way in the first video, so I can't wait to show you some amazing indie games I've got. So let's jump right in. First up, we have the lovely and the charming Yooka-laylee. In this game, you play as the dynamic lizard-bat duo, Yuka and Laylee, on a mission to rescue a magic book from an evil, wicked corporation. Now, there was a lot riding on this game for me. It was heavily compared to Banjo-Kazooie, which I don't know if you've seen my previous videos. I adore Banjo-Kazooie, all the nostalgia when I think of that, so it had high expectations. But it is a really fun 3D platforming experience. However, it just never really grabbed me. And that might be unfair because of the comparison to Banjo-Kazooie and the fact that my expectations were probably unfairly high. But I also kept getting lost in the levels. Now, I did think that was just me, but after doing some looking around and talking to my partner, who's a level designer in games, we did figure out what it could be. In my opinion, in the level design, the focal points are not clear enough. Focal points in games are so important because they allow the player to make a plan based on where they are in the level, and they can suss out where they are in relation to a particular landmark. I'm going to do a separate video talking about my favourite games with the best level design in, because I do think it's really important to go into a bit more detail about that. But personally, in Yooka-laylee, I felt like all the worlds looked the same, so I found myself not being able to gravitate towards a landmark to help me figure out where I was, and I think that's why I kept getting lost. But that is my only criticism of this game. It's still a really charming, really fun 3D platforming experience, and if you don't have any trouble navigating your way around it, then no problem. So, on to the next. Next up we have the lovely, the peaceful Yonder Cloudcatcher Chronicles. Yonder is set in the beautiful world of Jamea, which was once a really lively, active land that has since been covered in an evil substance called murk, which is becoming very distressing to the people of Jamea. It's a lovely farming and crafting sim and offers all the things that you love about that type of game. But I personally love all the fetch quests in Yonder. I could do them for hours. And that's what's kept me really entertained about this game, is just the amount that you can do in these quests as well, because there are so many of them. I find questing games are a brilliant way to motivate a player, and I think they're an amazing way to make you feel like you've accomplished something. I would definitely recommend Yonder Cloudcatcher Chronicles if you wanted to have like a nice farming sim, matched with a little bit of adventure, matched with some questing. I feel like it does the three really well. Next up we have the beautiful puzzle game, Old Man's Journey. Now this story follows an old man on a journey to reconciliation. And there's a really powerful and beautiful message in this game. It's all about balancing life and your dreams with your family. And the puzzle mechanic itself is really unique. I've not seen it in any other game before. You are essentially switching the man from walking on the hills in the foreground to the background by shifting the terrain to get him from place to place. It's a very, very short game. I think you can play it in about 2 days. I don't think it took me longer than 2 days to play this game. It's short and sweet. Beautiful art style, it's so lovely to look at, so lovely to play. I would highly recommend it for a short burst of a puzzle game. Next up we have Jotun Valhalla Edition. I think Jotun is how to pronounce it, or is it Jotun? I think it's Jotun because of Jotunheim. I don't know, I could be wrong. But our story follows Thora, a Viking warrior who died a dishonourable death and is trying to prove herself to the gods to enter Valhalla. This game was created by the same developers that made Spiritfarer, and I love Norse mythology, so naturally I wanted a piece of this. But it is actually quite difficult and not really my kind of game. The story element of it is established quite early on in the beginning, and then it descends into more of a brawler, action-heavy game. But I've really enjoyed watching my boyfriend play it. I think it's really well made, and it definitely poses a challenge to the player. And challenging games are good. No game is fun if it's too easy. So if you like games that are heavy on the action side, then I would definitely recommend this one to you. Next up we have the peaceful, the whimsical Journey of the Broken Circle. So you play a circle on a journey through beautiful landscapes to find their missing piece. Now to me, this is more than just a simple platformer. There is a really strong message in this game the encouragement to belong to yourself and not to seek the connection of others as the key to happiness. Yeah, it's deep actually. This game is deep. And it makes you think the way good theatre and good films make you think, and it really moved me. So if you're looking for a really heavily narrative driven game, then I would really recommend this one to you. It's the perfect casual game. Next up, we have the emotional, amazing Lost Words Beyond the Page. Now, how do I even begin to talk about this game? This story follows Izzy and her navigating through the story she's writing in her diary and her real life. This is such an emotional game, and it really, really moved me. It was so hard at times to play through Izzy's experiences and newfound awareness of life's inevitabilities. She's a kid just trying to understand life and manage her emotions, and that is sad and that is difficult. It's a brilliant game for all ages, and I love that she's using her diary to help her navigate her way through life. That is such a brilliant idea. Obviously, so well written, as Rhianna Pratchett was the writer behind this game. I would really recommend this game if you're looking to connect with a game on a more emotional level, rather than just surface level platforming. Next up, we have the eerie, the scary Limbo. Now, the story follows an unnamed character navigating through dangerous environments on a search for his sister. This game is so well made, and I can see the similarities after I played the Little Nightmares 2 demo, like that kind of eerie, creepy vibe. It's proper spooky. However, with Limbo, it's not just spooky, it's really quite graphic. For a black and white game, gory as well. When you die in this game, you die horribly. I never even got around to finishing it because honestly it just freaked me out too much. But the puzzles were great, and some were easier than others. It was just really hard to stay jolly when you play a game like that, honestly. So if you're looking for a scary game, I'd recommend this one. Next up, we have the lovely, the casual AER Memories of Old. This story follows a girl who's able to transform into a bird and explore these beautiful floating islands. It's a relatively short game. The bird simulation was so lovely. I loved just coasting around the islands, floating around and exploring. It's so gorgeous. The low poly art style as well is beautiful to look at. However, my only criticism would be that the story was very heavy at the beginning in terms of information. You were given a lot of information, a lot of exposition to digest all in one go, and I felt like it was difficult to remember the plot. I just think it just could have been spread out a bit more over a couple of levels or something, over a little bit of time, just so to allow your brain to process everything. But that's all. It's still a lovely game, and it's still very, very relaxing. I'd recommend this game if you're looking for a casual, breezy exploration kind of game. And while we're on the conversation of floating kingdoms, my next game is Sky Children of the Light. Now, this game was made by the same people who made Flower, who made Journey, and it was free on the eShop. Thank you, that game company. This is a social adventure game where you discover a floating kingdom desperate to be explored by you and other players. It's so wholesome, it has such beautiful vistas. You can come back to this game at any time. I love it. Wonderful, relaxing. I'd highly recommend this to anyone. And lastly, we have the brilliant puzzle game, The Gardens Between. This is a bittersweet story of two best friends, Arena and Friend, in a time-travelling puzzle game. Now, this puzzle mechanic is so well done. Your job is to guide two friends across these beautiful islands, moving time backwards and forwards to get the lantern to the peak. It does require a lot of patience, this game. Both characters move so differently and you're not always moving them as a unit. They both feel so individual even though you are controlling them both at the same time, which should just tell you everything about how well made this game is. The subject matter is really relatable as well. I'm not going to say what it is, out of fear I'm going to spoil it. And I like that again, the puzzles posed a challenge. I don't like games that are too easy. I had to get my boyfriend to help me with it at one point, and that was fine because I like playing games with people as well. So yes, I'd highly recommend this game if you're looking for a slightly challenging puzzle game and you're looking for a nice story-based one as well. Guys, that is it for my Switch collection. I've got some real treats lined up for you guys as well, you lucky things. So stay tuned, cannot wait to bring out more videos for you. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.